Why do nice men get ignored, while cold, decisive, even ruthless men are desired? Why does kindness often lead to rejection and indifference lead to obsession? Not with fantasy, not with comfort, but with brutal truth. I will speak to you in the spirit of Niccolò Machiavelli, without apology, without illusion. Listen carefully. Most men are defeated before they ever begin, because they fight the wrong battle. They believe attraction is negotiated through kindness, maintained through reassurance, and secured through endless declarations of feeling. They think that if they say the right words with enough sincerity, desire will naturally follow. But history does not reward the hopeful, it rewards the powerful. If you have read The Prince, you already understand a dangerous truth. People are not governed by promises. They are governed by perception of strength. And in the theater of attraction, perception is everything. Women do not fall for words. They fall for what words represent. You can whisper devotion, you can promise loyalty, you can offer the moon and the stars. But if your voice trembles with uncertainty, if your posture seeks approval, if your actions reveal dependence, then every beautiful sentence collapses into weakness. Power is not loud. It does not beg to be seen. It simply exists. And that existence creates gravity. Think of the man who walks into a room and does not scan it nervously for validation. He does not adjust himself to please. He does not rush to entertain. He stands grounded, composed, aware of his value. He speaks when necessary. He listens without reacting emotionally. His presence alone communicates something deeper than compliments ever could. That is power. Women are not seduced by excessive affirmation. They are drawn to certainty. Certainty is rare. Certainty is intoxicating. A man who is certain does not ask, "Do you like me?" He assumes attraction and behaves accordingly. This assumption shifts the entire dynamic. When you seek approval, you lower yourself beneath judgment. When you assume value, you place yourself beyond negotiation. And people desire what stands above them, not what kneels before them. Power is emotional control. If she pulls away and you panic, you surrender power. If she challenges you and you over-explain, you surrender power. If she withholds attention and you double your effort, you surrender power. But when you remain steady, unshaken, almost indifferent to outcomes, something changes. Curiosity replaces certainty. Tension replaces comfort. Attraction replaces sympathy. Words attempt to convince. Power does not need to. Understand this deeply. Women are biologically and psychologically wired to seek security. Not security of comfort alone, but security of strength. A man who cannot control himself cannot protect anything. A man who depends emotionally on her reactions cannot lead anything. And leadership is attractive, not tyranny, not cruelty, leadership. The mistake men make is confusing softness with safety. They think constant reassurance makes a woman feel secure. But reassurance without strength feels fragile. It feels temporary. It feels like something that can collapse under pressure. True security is felt in silence. It is felt when a man does not need to raise his voice to command respect. It is felt when he does not chase when she distances. It is felt when he chooses her rather than needs her. Need is hunger. Choice is power. Women sense this difference immediately. A needy man gives affection because he fears loss. A powerful man gives affection because he decides she deserves it. One is bargaining. The other is granting. And granting always outranks bargaining. This is why the overly expressive man often loses. Not because expression is wrong, but because it is offered without foundation. Words without power are noise. Words backed by presence are influence. In politics, rulers who relied solely on speeches were overthrown. Those who embodied authority were obeyed before they spoke. As Niccolò Machiavelli understood, fear and respect are born from perceived capability, not emotional appeal. In attraction, capability is emotional stability, decisiveness, direction, and self-sufficiency. You must become the man whose life does not revolve around female validation, the man whose mission purpose, and standards exist independently. The man who can walk away without collapsing. Because walking away is the ultimate demonstration of power. When you no longer fear losing her, she begins to fear losing you. And in that shift of balance, desire awakens. This is the brutal correction most men need to hear. Stop trying to be understood and start becoming formidable. Stop crafting perfect messages and start crafting an unshakable presence. Stop asking for reassurance and start embodying certainty. It is control over yourself. And when you control yourself, the world, including women, responds accordingly. They believe emotional security is created through constant affection, endless communication, and soft reassurance. They think that if they are available at every moment, if they respond instantly, if they explain every feeling in detail, she will feel safe. But safety does not come from availability. It comes from strength. Emotional security is not built on how often you text her. It is built on how unshakable you remain when tension enters the room. It is built on how steady your voice stays when conflict appears. It is built on how controlled your emotions are when she tests your patience. Security is not about being soft. It is about being solid. Understand this. Women are highly attuned to emotional shifts. They observe your tone. They measure your reactions. They notice how quickly you become defensive. They study how you handle uncertainty. Not consciously all the time, but instinctively. If your mood rises and falls with her approval, she does not feel secure. She feels responsible. And responsibility for a man's emotional stability is not attractive. It is exhausting. True emotional security is when she knows that no matter what storm appears, you remain composed. In The Prince, power was not described as loud aggression. It was described as calculated control. A ruler who panics invites rebellion. A ruler who remains calm during chaos strengthens loyalty. The same law applies here. If she challenges you and you react impulsively, you reveal instability. If she withdraws slightly and you chase desperately, you reveal fear. If she criticizes you and you crumble or explode, you reveal fragility. Fragility kills security. But when you pause before speaking, when your response is measured, when your expression remains calm even under pressure, something powerful happens. She relaxes. Her nervous system settles. She feels anchored because you are anchored. Emotional security through strength does not mean suppressing all feeling. It means mastering it. There is a difference between being emotionless and being emotionally disciplined. The disciplined man feels deeply but reacts strategically. He does not argue to win. He speaks to lead. He does not shout to dominate. He controls silence. He trusts his judgment. This creates a paradoxical effect. The less you seek reassurance, the more reassuring you become. Women want to feel that the man beside them can handle life, that he can handle competition, that he can handle conflict, and most importantly, that he can handle her emotions without being overwhelmed by them. Because emotions fluctuate, attraction fluctuates, mood fluctuates, certainty fluctuates. Two unstable forces create chaos. One stable force creates balance. You must be that force. Strength is not physical intimidation. It is knowing that you are enough, even if she disagrees. It is remaining centered, even if she tests limits. It is not being manipulated by guilt, tears, or temporary withdrawal. This is why overly reactive men lose respect. They make decisions based on immediate emotion. They apologize excessively. They overcompensate. They surrender boundaries to avoid discomfort. But boundaries are part of strength. When you calmly say no, when you hold your standards without anger, when you refuse to tolerate disrespect without creating drama, you demonstrate something far more attractive than sweetness. You demonstrate backbone. And backbone creates safety. Safety is knowing that you will not collapse under pressure. Safety is knowing that you will not become someone else when challenged. Safety is knowing that you will not betray your own values just to maintain approval. In the spirit of Niccolò Machiavelli, understand this: those who cannot govern themselves cannot govern anything else. If you cannot regulate your temper, your jealousy, your insecurity, or your fear of abandonment, then you cannot provide emotional security. You become another unpredictable element in her life. But when you master yourself, when your identity is rooted in purpose beyond the relationship, when your direction does not depend on her mood, you become immovable. Immovable men are rare, and rarity breeds desire. Emotional security through strength is not about controlling her. It is about controlling you. It is about responding rather than reacting. It is about leading rather than pleading. It is about choosing calm when chaos tempts you toward weakness. When she senses that you are steady regardless of circumstance, that your presence is not fragile, that your affection is given from abundance rather than fear, she begins to trust at a deeper level, not because you said the right words, but because you became the right man. Look around you. Power has never belonged to the most virtuous man. It has belonged to the man who understood how he was seen. This is the lesson that echoes through the prince like a warning carved in stone. Men judge more by appearance than by truth. They respond not to what is, but to what seems to be. And in attraction, this law becomes ruthless. You may be loyal, you may be intelligent, you may have a good heart. But if you appear uncertain, if you present yourself as low value, if your behavior communicates insecurity, then reality does not matter. Perception defeats it. Women respond to how you carry yourself long before they evaluate your character. The tragedy is that most men focus on becoming better internally, while ignoring how they are perceived externally. They develop feelings quickly and display them openly, believing authenticity alone will create attraction. They reveal their entire emotional investment too soon. They expose vulnerability before establishing strength. And then they wonder why desire fades. Perception shapes emotion. If you present yourself as scarce, busy, purposeful, she perceives you as valuable. If you present yourself as constantly available, overly eager, and emotionally dependent, she perceives you as replaceable. It does not matter that you are sincere. It matters how your sincerity is interpreted. A ruler in history could be weak in private, but if he appeared decisive and formidable in public, his kingdom remained stable. But if he appeared hesitant, even if he possessed hidden strength, rebellion would grow. Attraction follows the same rule. If she perceives that you are in control of your life, that you have options, that you are not easily shaken, she begins to assign value to you. If she perceives that you revolve around her, that your happiness depends on her responses, that you are afraid to lose her, she senses imbalance. And imbalance erodes desire. Perception is formed through small signals. How quickly you reply, how you handle disagreement, how you respond to uncertainty, how you react when she withdraws attention. If she senses anxiety in you, even subtly, her perception shifts. Anxiety communicates fear of loss. Fear of loss communicates lower status. Lower status reduces attraction. But when you remain composed, when you do not rush to fix every emotional fluctuation, when you allow space without panic, your perception strengthens. Mystery amplifies perception. When everything about you is predictable, fully revealed, emotionally transparent, without filter, there is no tension, and without tension, there is no excitement. When she cannot fully read you, when she senses depth she has not yet uncovered, curiosity grows. Curiosity fuels desire. This does not mean deception. It means discipline. You do not overshare immediately. You do not surrender your independence for reassurance. You let your actions speak. You let your presence communicate confidence. You allow her to discover you rather than consuming you all at once. As Niccolò Machiavelli taught, it is often better to appear virtuous than to constantly prove virtue. Likewise, it is better to appear high value than to argue for your worth. Never argue for your worth. The moment you attempt to convince someone of your value, you imply doubt. True value does not defend itself aggressively. It stands. It exists. It lets others decide whether they are worthy of it. Perception also depends on social proof. If other people respect you, if you command attention without demanding it, if your lifestyle reflects discipline and ambition, these signals shape how she sees you. Humans look to context to determine value. If you isolate yourself emotionally and socially around her, you shrink your perceived world. If you maintain your mission, your friendships, your growth, you expand it. And she feels the expansion. Understand that attraction is not purely logical. It is emotional interpretation layered over observation. She may not consciously say, "He appears high status," but she will feel the difference between a man who moves with quiet authority and a man who moves with nervous urgency. Your tone, your posture, your pacing, your boundaries, your silence, all contribute to perception. If you laugh too loudly for approval, perception weakens. If you apologize excessively, perception weakens. If you tolerate disrespect to avoid conflict, perception weakens. But if you smile calmly in tension, if you hold eye contact without aggression, if you speak slowly without rushing to impress, perception strengthens. And perception becomes reality in her emotional world. This is not manipulation. It is awareness. It is understanding that humans respond to signals before they respond to substance. Substance matters, but only after perception opens the door. Master how you are seen, and you shape how you are felt. Lose control of perception, and no amount of inner goodness will save you from invisibility. Let me reveal to you one of the most ruthless laws of human desire. What is easily obtained is rarely treasured. What is constantly available is rarely respected. What requires no effort is rarely protected. This principle governs kingdoms, markets, and hearts alike. In The Prince, power was preserved not by generosity alone, but by controlled access. A ruler who gave everything freely weakened his authority. A ruler who distributed favor strategically increased loyalty. The same law governs attraction. When you make yourself endlessly available, when you respond instantly every time, when you rearrange your entire life at the smallest request, you unintentionally reduce your value, not because you are kind, but because you are predictable and abundant. Abundance without selectivity feels cheap. Scarcity creates tension, and tension fuels desire. Think carefully. When something is rare, when access is limited, when attention is not guaranteed, the mind assigns higher worth to it. We chase what might be lost. We protect what we fear disappearing. If she knows you will always be there no matter how she behaves, no matter how little effort she invests, the emotional stakes drop. There is no urgency. There is no challenge. There is no fear of loss. But when she senses that your time is valuable, that your attention is earned, that your presence is not automatic, her behavior shifts. She becomes more attentive. She invests more. She wonders where she stands. And that wondering intensifies attraction. Scarcity is not about playing games. It is about living a life so full, so directed, so purposeful, that access to you is naturally limited. A man with no mission clings to romance as his sole source of meaning. A man with ambition, discipline, and vision cannot afford to orbit around anyone. His time is divided between growth, purpose, health, and leadership. This division creates natural scarcity. She texts, "You do not drop everything in desperation." When she suggests plans, you consider them rather than surrendering instantly. When she pulls away slightly, you do not chase in panic. You allow space. Space increases perceived value. Constant proximity dulls emotional intensity. Controlled distance sharpens it. This is why over-pursuit destroys attraction. Excessive compliments lose impact. Constant reassurance becomes background noise. Predictable affection becomes expected rather than appreciated. Scarcity restores impact. When your praise is rare, it carries weight. When your time is limited, it feels special. When your commitment is earned, it feels significant. As Niccolò Machiavelli understood, people value what they struggle to secure. When loyalty is assumed without effort, it weakens. When it is earned, it strengthens. In attraction, effort creates emotional investment. If she must earn your deeper affection through consistency, respect, and reciprocity. If everything is given freely at the beginning, there is nothing left to pursue. And pursuit is powerful. Scarcity also protects your dignity. When you are scarce, you do not tolerate disrespect. You do not beg for clarification. You do not chase closure. You withdraw calmly when standards are not met. This withdrawal communicates self-worth without drama. Drama seeks attention. Scarcity commands it. There is a difference. Many men fear scarcity because they believe distance will cause loss. But desperation causes faster loss than distance ever will. When you cling, you reveal fear. When you allow space confidently, you reveal strength. Strength attracts. Scarcity is also emotional restraint. You do not reveal every thought immediately. You do not confess lifelong devotion in the first weeks. You allow layers to unfold gradually. You let curiosity breathe. You let mystery remain intact. Mystery increases perceived depth, and depth increases desire. When she cannot fully predict you, when she knows you have standards, when she senses that losing you is possible, attraction sharpens. Not because you threaten, not because you manipulate, but because you live independently of outcome. Outcome independence is the highest form of scarcity. It means you desire her, but do not depend on her. You enjoy her presence, but do not require it. You invest wisely, but not blindly. And when a man reaches this state, something shifts in the dynamic. He is no longer trying to win affection. He becomes the prize to be kept. Value is never declared. It is demonstrated through restraint, discipline, and selective access. And the man who understands scarcity understands leverage. Now you see the pattern. It was never about saying the perfect words. It was never about being endlessly agreeable. It was never about sacrificing your identity to secure affection. The problem we set out to solve was simple, but painful. Why do men who give everything often receive so little in return? Why does devotion without dominance lead to dismissal? Why does emotional intensity without strength create rejection instead of desire? Because attraction is not built on intention. It is built on perception, strength, and value. Through the lens of Niccolò Machiavelli, we uncovered something uncomfortable, yet liberating. Desire follows power. Security follows emotional control. Respect follows boundaries. Value follows scarcity. When you chase, you lower perception. When you react emotionally, you weaken security. When you overshare without discipline, you dissolve mystery. When you make yourself endlessly available, you reduce your worth. But when you master yourself, everything shifts. When your emotions are governed by discipline rather than impulse, you become stable. When your presence communicates certainty rather than need, you become attractive. When your life has purpose beyond romance, you become scarce. When your attention is selective rather than desperate, you become valuable. This is not about manipulation. It is about alignment with human nature. Women do not want a servant. They want a man who can lead himself. A man who does not crumble under pressure. A man who does not beg for validation. A man who chooses rather than clings. In The Prince, power was sustained not through softness alone, but through strategic strength. The same truth governs attraction. It is better to be respected than merely liked. It is better to be desired than pitied. It is better to be chosen because of your strength than tolerated because of your compliance. The only thing women truly want is not perfection. It is presence. Presence rooted in power. Power rooted in self-control. Self-control rooted in purpose. Master that, and you will no longer ask why attraction fades. You will understand why it grows.